Canada is looking to replace its aging fleet of submarines, and now the list of contenders has been narrowed down to 2 bidders.
Countries like Germany, Canada, in partnership with the European Union, can provide stability and prosperity for our citizens.
When your closest ally stops asking permission before spending $43 billion, something fundamental just shifted. Canada just awarded the biggest defense contract in its history.
Canada is looking to replace its aging fleet of subs, potentially worth tens of billions of dollars.
The German-Norwegian partnership is one of the 2 finalists for this.
$43 billion for 12 new submarines. But here's what's sending shockwaves through Washington. They didn't even consider American shipyards. For the first time since World War II, America's northern neighbor is building a major weapon system without U.S. involvement. This isn't about submarines. It's about whether America's allies still see themselves as junior partners or independent powers charting their own course. Section 1. The decision that caught Washington off guard. Everyone assumed Canada would do what it always does. They didn't. Canada shortlisted 2 companies for its submarine replacement program. Germany's ThyssenKrupp and South Korea's Hanwha Ocean. Notice who's missing? Every major American shipbuilder. This isn't an oversight, it's a statement. For decades, Canada's default mode was to buy American or partner with American firms for major defense projects. Not anymore. Prime Minister Mark Carney made the announcement in Berlin standing next to the German Chancellor. The symbolism wasn't subtle. Canada is diversifying its defense partnerships, and Washington isn't automatically invited to the table. The submarines themselves tell the story. Canada wants boats that can patrol under Arctic ice for weeks at a time. Both the German Type 212CD and Korean KSS-III are designed for exactly this mission. But here's the kicker. American submarine technology is nuclear-powered, classified, and comes with strings attached. Canada wants capability without dependency. Section 2. Why this matters more than you think. This isn't just about Canada. Every U.S. ally is watching this playbook. For 75 years, the unspoken rule was simple. Allies spend money, America builds the weapons. That arrangement kept U.S. defense contractors busy, spread jobs across American congressional districts, and gave Washington leverage over allied military capabilities. Canada just broke that rule. Instead of funneling $43 billion into Connecticut shipyards or Virginia steel mills, they're building domestic shipbuilding capacity. Those submarines will be assembled in Halifax and Vancouver, creating Canadian jobs and Canadian expertise. But the ripple effects go far beyond shipbuilding. Defense contracts seed entire ecosystems, advanced materials, electronics, software, precision manufacturing. When Canada localizes submarine construction, they're not just building boats, they're building the foundation for an independent defense industrial base. Australia is watching, so is Japan and South Korea, and every NATO member that's been told to spend more on defense while implicitly expected to spend it in America. Section 3. The U.S. Industrial Reality Check. Here's the uncomfortable truth. American shipyards couldn't handle this work anyway. U.S. submarine construction is in crisis. The Navy wants to build 5 submarines per year by 2028. Current production? About 1.2 boats annually, with 20% of critical jobs unfilled and delivery timelines stretching years behind schedule. General Dynamics and Huntington Ingalls are already overwhelmed with domestic Navy contracts they can't complete on time. The Columbia-class ballistic missile submarine program is delayed by at least a year. The Virginia-class attack submarine program is running 40% behind schedule. American shipyards are operating with a workforce shortage of nearly 140,000 skilled workers. They're turning away commercial work and struggling to maintain ships already in service. So when Canada looked at building 12 submarines with delivery starting in 2035, American yards weren't even competitive bidders. They literally don't have the capacity. Section 4. The Politics of Alliance Independence. This is what burden sharing actually looks like when allies take it seriously. For years, Washington has demanded that NATO allies spend 2% of GDP on defense. Canada is finally hitting that target, but they're spending the money their way, not America's way. That's creating a new political dynamic. Instead of allies being defense consumers dependent on U.S. suppliers, they're becoming defense producers competing with U.S. suppliers. The German submarines Canada is considering? They'll be built with technology that could then be exported to other NATO members. The Korean option? Same story. Suddenly, American defense contractors aren't the only game in town for Allied procurement. This matters politically because defense spending isn't just about military capability, it's about industrial policy. Every dollar spent on submarines supports workers, research, and manufacturing capacity. When allies spend locally instead of in America, they're building their own version of what Americans call the military-industrial complex. Section 5. What this means for American strategy. Washington is facing a choice it hasn't had to make in decades. The traditional model was simple. America provides security. Allies provide markets for American defense goods. That deal worked when allies were rebuilding after World War II and lacked indigenous defense industries. But 2025 isn't 1955. Canada has shipyards, Germany has submarine technology, South Korea has advanced manufacturing. These aren't developing countries dependent on American know-how. They're industrial powers with their own capabilities. So what's America's value proposition now? Scale and integration remain advantages, but so does political independence from Washington's policy swings. When allies can choose between American suppliers tied to U.S. foreign policy and European or Asian suppliers, with fewer strings attached, some will choose independence. The submarine decision is a test case. If Canada successfully builds a world-class submarine fleet with German and Korean partners, other allies will ask, why do we need to buy American? Section 6. The broader realignment. Canada's submarine choice is part of a pattern most Americans haven't noticed yet. European defense integration is accelerating. The EU is funding joint weapons programs that deliberately exclude American companies. France and Germany are building next-generation fighter jets together. Nordic countries are coordinating submarine programs. In Asia, Japan and Australia are developing missile technology partnerships. South Korea is emerging as a major defense exporter. India is pushing Make in India policies for military equipment. None of these countries are abandoning alliances with America, but they're all reducing dependence on America. There's a difference. The submarine program fits this trend perfectly. Canada wants NATO standard boats that can integrate with American systems during joint operations, but they want to build and maintain them independently, without requiring U.S. approval for modifications or exports. Section 7. What happens next? The precedent is set. The question is whether Washington adapts or doubles down. 3 scenarios are playing out. Scenario 1. Congress responds by increasing domestic shipyard investment to stay competitive. More federal funding for workforce training, facility upgrades, and production capacity. Competition forces innovation. Scenario 2. Washington accepts the new reality and focuses on areas where American technology is still unique. Nuclear propulsion, advanced electronics, space-based systems. Let allies build conventional platforms while maintaining advantages in cutting-edge capabilities. Scenario 3. Policy pushback, trade restrictions, technology export controls, or diplomatic pressure to maintain American primacy in allied procurement. This risks accelerating allied independence efforts. The submarine decision will influence which path America chooses. If Canada's program succeeds, boats delivered on time, under budget, with good performance, expect other allies to follow the model. Conclusion: the new alliance math. Alliances aren't weakening, they're equalizing. Canada's submarine decision represents something Washington hasn't seen since the Marshall Plan. Allies with the capability and confidence to chart independent defense policies. This isn't anti-American, it's post-American dependence. Canada still wants to work with the U.S. on Arctic security, Pacific deterrence, and NATO operations, but they want to do it as equals, not clients. For American strategy, the choice is clear. Adapt to Allied independence or risk Allied irrelevance. The submarines are just the beginning. What do you think? Is Allied independence good for American security, or does it weaken the foundation of U.S. global leadership? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more analysis on how global power is shifting in ways Washington isn't ready for.